cash right now.
Okay, and they are interested in purchasing it?
They aren't, they access, what they usually do is they provide loans, they do fundraising efforts like this, and then what they want to happen is to have like this town own it, or this town borrow money from them at some ridiculously low interest rate, like 1 or 2% to own it, things like that. That's what they do. They just want to have their hands involved in making sure that these parcels stay available for climbers.
So their interest is helping out, so they want the town to own it, or we need to find someone else?
Right, right. But they're going to give us that money if we have the whole $150,000. That money will just get turned over to whoever is actually, going to sign the name on the bottom line, and that'll be the end of it.
I don't know if we can give them permission without a town vote. I mean, that would be my...
Well, this is just an investigation, not a commitment to purchase right now. I'm not asking for that.
Correct, but it's advertising and using the town's, I don't know, I'd want to ask before I sat here and voted.
Can I just
To do all
read
that.
something?
Yeah.
Because I contacted legal at MMA today.
There you go.
Well, earlier on, because we had communicated,
Right, yeah.
and I think Nancy and I had talked on our way to Augusta, and just, we've always stated that it's very difficult for a town to own property. We're not into the buying and selling or managing or doing whatever. This is with real estate and
Right.
foreclosures or whatever. So I get a little verklempt at what this looks like. In lieu of the fact that we spent a day in Augusta and realized that state money ain't there and may not be there to even run our town, so now we're gonna look to see what we can do to further purchase. So we needed clarity. So I contacted MMA and I just wrote, this is my statement. Looking for advice concerning legal implications and liability issues with town owning a recreational area used for rock climbing, Eagle Bluff. This area is used by several climbing groups and individuals, is being sold by private owner, and has been asked to be put before the town in consideration of ownership. Many concerns have been expressed from how to even pay for this, liability to the town, and how do the municipal officers become better informed as to how to handle this. Would appreciate guidance in our consideration of this matter. Thank you, Carol Jordan. So I got this back yesterday. Dear Carolyn, which is my given name, assuming no citizen petition has been filed, the selectmen do not have to put the issue in front of the voters if they do not support acquisition of the land. I agree that any purchase or acceptance of donated land would have to be approved by the town meeting. In addition to an appropriation for the purchase price, there would need to be an appropriation of some amount for legal work, title search, similar issues. You would definitely want an attorney to review the deed and the title, particularly if the town will be purchasing the land. Regarding liability, the Maine Tort Claims Act provides immunity for the town for any tort claim which results from construction, ownership, maintenance, or use of land, buildings, structures, facilities, or equipment designed for use primarily by the public in connection with outdoor public recreation. C14 MRSA 8104-A. If you provided staff or volunteers to supervise activities at the park, for instance at the climbing wall, and the employee/volunteer was negligent in supervising or leading a program, the employee/volunteer could have liability for negligence up to $10,000. You would normally insure for this type of liability risk. If you did provide staff or volunteer staff, you would also need to buy workers' compensation insurance. Although the town would likely not have liability for injuries resulting from falls or use of a climbing wall, that does not mean that someone might not try to make a claim if the person was injured. Even if a claim was not valid, the town might have to pay to defend itself. Also, I am sure that public safety is a primary concern, so if the town did purchase the area, the town might want to place fences, warning signs, etc. in various locations depending on the topography of the site. This might be an expense to consider as well. From a legal perspective, those are the primary issues to think about. You could also talk to other municipalities that have recreational land to discuss other practical issues that you might face. I hope this is helpful. Please let me know if you need anything further. Suzanne Pilgrim, Staff Attorney, Legal Services Department, Maine Municipal Association. So those kind of answer some of the questions that I have, and you said there's no need as far as if we become a park, but isn't there criteria to become a park? You know, you can't just deem that Eagle Bluff Park and think that we're absolved from any legal issues. I guess
Well,
that
there
would
would
be
be
a
some of the stuff
question.
that she's involved with there, so I'm not, so tonight, these are all the things that I'm asking for you to assign a project officer to work with me to come up with and report back. Some of those things will be just a resuscitation or recitation of what you just read. Some of it will be other things, and it will be all that stuff in a report back to you, you know, in a timely manner, so that we could, you know, decide what to do, you know, theoretically by June. Now, we could avoid having it on the ballot because we couldn't get all the paperwork together that we need to get, and maybe have to have a special town meeting to raise the funds in July, as another example. I mean, that's, you know, these are all possibilities. These would all be things that we would look into to do it. So, but in the meantime, whether or not the promoting of the funding for it, or just the general support of putting it into, you know, long-term recreation and purchasing the parcel, the town could support just the idea of sustainment of public use of that parcel, you know, and then while the town is looking into the vehicles for how that would look, you know, down the road, as far as whether the town would own it, whether it would be owned by Forest Stewardship of Maine or whatever. These are all other options. And also, there's the Friends of Eagle Bluff have reignited themselves, and they're right now in the middle of almost close to 501(c). So the game plan would be, even if the town owned it, this Friends of Eagle Bluff actually would like to be the people who raise money for it every year anyway, and that's why we asked for it's going to cost $125,000. That's why we're asking to raise $150,000, so that we can buy it, and then we have $25,000 to get going with these, you know, insurances and other odds and ends to get the thing started. You know, get us through the first year and get Friends of Eagle Bluff, you know, operational. I mean, and they're already actually operational on their own. They have an attorney down in Augusta that they're working with that is a climber and was friends with Don Nelligan and all that good stuff. So I'm just asking for the town's permission to promote raising money for it on the Access Fund website. I just want to post the Access Fund website's fundraising address on the Facebook page and the website. And if they want to have meetings for fundraising or bake sales or whatever, you know, or have a canoe auction or whatever, there's a whole bunch of different auction things that they want to do. I want to provide, you know, this facility to them. So I'm asking for your endorsement for providing a facility to do it and just to study the options. I'm not asking for a commitment. I'm not ready for a commitment because I don't know all those answers.
Okay, all right.
Anybody have any other questions? Anyone from the public have questions about it?
Who wants to help?
I think we got 2 hands over here.
Oh, I could only see Teresa's.
Would it be different liability-wise if a private person owned it? Or you said the municipalities are pretty much protected, but like what if?
They have more protections, but Maine is also a good state, you know, for hunters. Like if you are out walking on land and you get hurt, you're not, the landowner isn't liable for you getting hurt, you know, while you're hunting on other land. So just Maine is just a recreation-friendly state for the general public. But the state wants to obviously encourage conservation and things like that, and that's why they're friendlier. So there's a liability rate of like the top end of 10 grand. I mean, that's not common across the United States.
We've actually passed laws in the last, time goes so fast, I was gonna say the last few years, but within the last 10 years, it makes it better for the landowners than it used to.
Snowmobiling and snowmobiling and all those things that the landowners go out and do the land is exempt from.
So like I said, with your permission, I mean, I don't know how you want to put that into, you know, a vote or just like a verbal endorsement or whatever. I don't, just to assign somebody to work with me to study it.
Somebody from this board to do that.
Yeah, well, it would be great if somebody on this board would just be a co-project officer with me. Carol, she's like the perfect person. She's already on the internet contacting them. Her son-in-law works for me on drill weekends, so you know that could get her son to show up and drill more often.
Does anyone on the board or the office staff think that promoting this like he's proposing is it okay legally? I mean, we're not saying we wanna purchase it, we're saying we wanna support access and fundraising.
I'm not sure we would call it promoting it. I think we're giving him the use of some of our,
Right, some of our, yeah, our branding, you know, we wanna create Clifton to have a brand of recreation, you know, and be a recreational destination is one of the things we wanna do. So we wanna, you know, actually co-branding, if you will, in the marketing thing with Frank, to try to pull us together. It's called collaborative marketing.
Let me just tell you that the hard part right here is that we are in the process of finishing a year, starting a new year. If this, I mean, I feel an inopportune time, only because the board is going to change. I don't have any problem working with you with it. I am retired and busier than I was when I was nursing.
My
but,
mom
you know,
said that too.
But that's okay, that's okay. The part of it is, I mean, I personally don't feel there's an issue with offering our facility for meetings or doing whatever. But I think we need to take the time to, again, consult MMA just to see what, you know, if you would put it out in writing what you want for endorsement. I got a day's answer back from them. So just check with them and see if it doesn't mean that we're committing to buy, we're interested to buy, because those are big decisions that need to go to the town.
I totally agree, and that's what we're studying.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what we're not saying here, we're not committing. We're just saying that we're studying and that
Right.
we're promoting
Right.
that we want money raised so this can be bought.
Right.
Now, my question is, if we're promoting for money to be raised and then we don't buy it, we're gonna have people saying, I donated money to this project.
I can go to the website and I can get an email from, I think it's Joe Santoro, from the Out in Access to find out if the purchase doesn't go through, because I think they're keeping track of everybody who donates, and I'll go back out and look at the website. I'm pretty sure that there is a mechanism for getting your money back out if it doesn't go through, but I'll firm that up. And even if there's not, then certainly, you know, we'll make it crystal clear that if it doesn't happen, it's gonna be a donation to the Access Fund Worldwide or whatever. But to be
So-
honest with you, go ahead.
What if we say, right now, this isn't a time for us to make a decision as a town? It's, I mean, revenue is a mess, we can't pull $150,000 off our money tree, we don't know how we're gonna finance this. These are the things, and I mean, August is kind of, and even to put something on the ballot by June is early. With everything else we gotta do before then, I mean, that's kinda early. So what if we can't commit to anything? What happens to this project then?
Well, then, a couple things I can see happening, because I've been working with an elderly.
Right, right.
So, let's say that we did absolutely nothing between now and August, they're probably gonna pop smoke and that's gonna be the end of it, okay? On the other hand, if they can see that we have, well, like we've already put the Access Fund website up, you know, and we vote to promote it, we do a study, money's being raised by the climbers and everybody's doing their thing, I can see this thing being, the purchase being extended, you know, our option being extended, because we're making good faith effort, because I think that they want this property, Donnie wanted it to go for a certain thing, and I think they have a vested interest in doing it, and I think, you know, some people, I mean, I've heard, you know, some people say, oh, that's a bargain price to pay for that property. I've heard other people say, I can't believe that you're gonna pay that much money for the property, all right? Because there's a wide range of opinions on how that works, but, you know, I feel like the Nelligans are putting a really good faith effort into it, and I feel like that if we do go ahead and purchase it, you know, I feel like the Nelligan family is gonna continue to pay attention to us over here. We're not gonna just become neglected. And I mean, they're vested in the community. They live right over in Holden. You know, I bet you probably a lot of people in the room don't even know who they are or have done business with them. They own that trailer park over in Holden. So if you sold that big trailer park, so like if you're an Elko Electric, I don't know if you sold a lot of stuff over there or not. I don't know. But
if the town doesn't, I mean, are any of these climbing groups interested? Is Access interested in purchasing? Or have all their
these climbing
eggs in
groups
the
are very
town?
interested in purchasing it. That's why, I mean, like I said, I think that this website has been up for not even 10 days and they've already raised $5,000.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, they're really motivated to do it.
in my way of looking at it, I would think that these people, you know, should form a coalition of some kind, get a 501c3, nonprofit organization, and work towards that
Right.
end of owning it. And
Well, that's
I don't
another-
have a problem with the
and-
town
And that's certainly another option. Now, this is,
being
this is,
an advertising agent for them.
right, well, this is another option too. So say, if they're the 501(c), then certainly it might be in the municipality's best interest to contribute, I don't know, like say $50,000 to it or whatever, okay? Because obviously, we're all gonna have a net benefit from having them come out here. Now, one of the benefits of having the municipality own it, like one thing that I know a lot of people in the room like to do, or a lot of people in Clifton like to do, at least, is go hunting and trapping and snowmobiling and things like that. Now, what you get into, if the town owns it, then we're probably gonna go ahead and there's gonna be a snowmobile trail across there potentially or whatever, and people are gonna be able to hunt on it, all that stuff. If another group gets a hold of it who is only focused on like one little narrow area, and they don't wanna have any hunting or trapping on it and stuff like that, because they're concerned about being, hurt during, the fall or whatever, and they could potentially block it off. So in my mind, with a lot of property being posted and things like that, if the town owned that property, certainly that'd be another 160 acres that people could hunt and trap on, in addition to having this climbing thing. So I was looking at it from the perspective of the multi-use thing. I'll let her call on you, what she's gonna call. She has her hand up.
Well, what if your nonprofit and or climbing organization or whatever decides to sell it later? Then the town loses the resource of having that as a recreational facility, depending on what they decide to do with that property.
We're only getting about $400 and $425 a year's worth of revenue off of it right now anyway, so it's not like a big moneymaker for us in terms of
Well, a
revenue.
little bit breakfast that'll come up around it.
Well, that's kind of my thought. I thought if we could get, that, and I do have my eye on, have been talking to a couple other people, I'm trying to, just like when you go build a shopping mall, people want to get an anchor store, they all want to have their Sears at one end and their Macy's at the other end or whatever. Okay, you have to have your anchor store, so to speak. So, obviously Chick Hill is like a huge place, but certainly that's not for sale right now, and that's a lot more than $125,000 worth of effort.
Yep.
This one right here is even though $125,000 does sound like a lot, it isn't an anchor. It's like a well-known place. Actually, Eagle Bluff is known around the United States apparently amongst climbers. It's a fairly well-known precipice. If we got a hold of that as an anchor, certainly there's some other little flat pieces of property over there that, in my view, would be perfect places to have like a little store or whatever, or that kind of thing going on. And if the town owned it, the other options, we actually have like a list of options I'm going to get into tonight. I have like an endless list of options that could be done, but we can't do anything if we don't own it.
It's all right on the road right away. Trees that are left, the big ones.
What? You're talking-
She was looking for income.
I was talking about whether there was any opportunity for
Yeah, me too.
Or,
Income
income
for the town.
like wood, cutting some wood off and it.
well, the wood's already been cut off
Yeah,
it, but
he said
this is in
no.
the back of my mind what I was thinking, like if some of the things that go on, if you get it for the land for Maine futures money, some of that, I'm not a big proponent of getting government money from outside sources, okay, it's just saying, because they all come with strings attached. So, if the town just sort of take care of it on their own and work with private parties and put the money together, we could kind of do with it what we wanted. So one of the avenues that I was thinking of for potential revenue stream would be, so if it's a good place and people like to go there all the time, then we could put like a small bed and breakfast, down right on the road frontage, or like a restaurant there, something like that, and we could license out, 3 or 4 or 5 acres, for over time, and that would be a potential revenue source, because it was attached straight to that parcel and you'd be able to use it. But again, that's another commercial opportunity that you'd only be able to do if the town owned it. And then we'd have to work all that out with an attorney to how that would be licensed and stuff like that, as opposed to if Land for Maine Futures was actually the primary holder, you can't do anything with it except for just go on it. You could put like a little parking area and some park benches, and there would be no opportunity for a revenue stream off of it. But like I said, there's other opportunities on that too that could be developed and licensed out. A lot of other opportunities. But it all depends on what people want to do and how we want to own it, what kind of investment we want to make, stuff like that.
Personal comment from a board member that's leaving is we should be doing everything we can to support business in this town. we should not be developing it ourselves.
Mhm.
We should be promoting, so development, but not doing it.
Well,
Just
I
like the
definitely,
government,
I'm
the
agreeing with that.
government should not do that in any stages,
Yeah.
whether it's federal
Yeah.
or local.
Right, but you
That-
could
that
license a
would be-
piece of it out to a private entity to do something with it, but we shouldn't actually be the owner of any buildings on that, I'm agreeing with that.
Or the land that it's on,
That's
I
where I
don't
was
even like
coming
the
from when I
lease.
said, you know, if
Don't wanna
the
be attached.
farmers could form a coalition and do this, then they would have access to do all of those things if they wanted to.
Right, if they wanted to, but then they would also maybe have management things on that property that the town, like people in town wouldn't like they would might be able to keep it from being hunted and things like that. I'm just, you try to meet the maximum number of needs.
That could very well happen if somebody comes along and offers them some money and buys it.
Right, but right now, we have it tied up till August first, they can't do that right now till August first.
How many people would you say in a given month go up there?
I've been told sometimes, depending on whether deer goes up there or not, there could be like a couple hundred people a month go up there.
My thought is, our town meeting is in a month. Why can't we add something to our report to see what the town is thinking before we commit to anything? That's just my thought.
Bravo.
And we can do that. I just would like to,
I
you know, time is money, and I'd like to at least be able, if I could just get to be able to at least put the links up on the websites and stuff like that, and we could advertise the link on the Facebook, it would be a good thing.
I think that's fine, as long as there's no mention in that or anything about the town buying that, because that hasn't even been put out to vote or anything. As
That
of
would be
right now,
reasonable.
Access is the one, even though you're working with it and doing a lot of the work, Access is the one that's.
I know, they really wanted me to sign that, and I told them I wasn't authorized to do stuff like that. See, I actually,
No, but I don't
pay
see,
attention sometimes.
I don't see that there's anything wrong with letting the study go on. At least the select board,
Right.
agrees, and I don't see nothing wrong with that. Nothing.
And sign somebody on the select board to work with me.
What? No, I don't, I don't have time.
That's what happens when you get retired.
I know.
I don't have time either.
Let me think about it, because we kinda need to see how the new board's gonna work out. What happens after next month, we're still formalizing our budget, so. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm going to make a motion that you just jot a little note down of what you would like the town to do, so that I can clear it. I just wanna consult with MMA.
Yeah, that's fine.
Even if it's minuscule as endorsing it by using our name, as long as there's nothing there. I'll have an answer back for that.
Yeah, I'll do something together in the next couple of days.
I'll
And-
second that.
Okay, and I wasn't done.
Okay.
And also see if it is advisable for us to put something to present to the town in our town meeting. Because I think that would be when you get the most amount of people out, to at least not let them know about it. I know we're gonna have some informational meetings coming up before June, before the referendum, but I just think we need a little guidance and clarity onto how to do this without just saying, hey, the town, you know, cause you know, you can go down to the coffee clatch at the Clifton store, and we're gonna be buying Eagle Bluff. Right, Arthur? Yeah, we're gonna be buying Eagle Bluff by the end of next week.
No, but probably tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it will be. So, that's my motion.
I second that.
Okay, all right.
You have the email address?
Any
I can
more
write that for you.
discussion? Any more discussion from the audience before we vote? No? All in favor? Okay. All right, Pisgah Mountain LLC.
Wow.
Thank you for giving me a moment of your time tonight. I've provided one to each one of the select board members and one to the town, so if anybody would like to get copies of anything, it'll be in the town office. The first, as you open the first cover, I have a letter to the select board that I'd like to read, and then I'd like to explain what this book is about. Before I do that, I would like to tell you that this is not a proposal it's not up to me to give any kind of proposal for a tax increment financing. That's completely the town's business. This is just information as to what we're looking at down the road. So, dear Select Board, dear Clifton Select Board, as you know, when our wind farm is built, there will be a major increase in the town's valuation. The wind farm will generate, based on an estimated initial tax value of $22 million, approximately $3 million in tax revenue over 20 years. While this is significant, there are potential tax implications we want to bring to the town's attention, namely, the potential increase in county taxes and reduction in revenue sharing and school allocations. There are, however, possible ways for the town to manage these issues, including the utilization of tax increment financing, or the TIF. TIFs have the ability to keep new tax revenue in Clifton by avoiding increases to county taxes and decreases in revenue sharing and school allocation that can occur due to the town's increased valuation. In this respect, we have enclosed information that provides more background on TIFs as well as other programs like community benefit agreements. We have also enclosed a report from the Governor's Office on TIFs and community benefits associated with other wind farms in Maine. We hope you find this information useful as reference material as the town determines how best to manage its property tax revenues in relation to the community's needs. We look forward to a constructive discussion on these matters. If you would like any additional information or have any questions, please don't hesitate to call me. If you turn that page to the index, which is right behind that, it gives you what's in the notebook. The first one that I want to look at is flip that tab to preliminary tax value estimates. Now this is just a preliminary. This is an idea of what we're looking at, what the town is going to be looking at. The town valuation before the project is about $72 million. This was the estimated initial project tax value at $22 million, making it $94 million. If you look at the grid, and you look at where it says no TIF tax value, that shows in those different years what would be coming in, and at the bottom it's $2,900,000, so it's just about $3 million. If the town does not do something to protect that money, what will happen is these other revenues will go up, these other assessments will go up, school funds for the town will go down, and out of $3 million, the town is going to have to pay $25 million of $2,500,000 to these other programs, which is what the next column shows. If you don't have a TIF, a tax increment financing, you will be at the benefit would be about $500,000, which is, it's a lot, but we could do much better. And the last column shows what the town could shelter if they do a TIF, and that is the $3 million. So you can look at that. It's just informational based on what $22 million in investment would be. Let me say one thing about that. The $22 million investment in this project is conservative. It may be as high as $25 million, which means all these figures would go up a little bit. We wanted to be conservative because we didn't want to just throw figures around. If you turn to the next page on 2011-2012 tax information, again based on the mill rate and other information, halfway down the page it says preliminary community benefit value potential. And what this is if Pisgah Mountain was to contribute in a community benefit agreement to the town in these different values, $45,000, $150,000, $195,000, and all of those have history to them why we picked those numbers. What really is the potential to somebody who had a $100,000 home? and that's what those figures are. Annually, that's how it would affect those properties. So if you had a $100,000 home and Pisgah Mountain did a community benefit agreement with the town of $195,000 a year, the taxpayer of a $100,000 home, which would normally pay about $1,200, would have a reduction of $245 annually. So what that would look like over 20 years would be just under $5,000. The next page is an article that was written by one of my attorneys, John Pottle, who's sitting right here with us this evening. And it's TIFs can be a win-win for towns and businesses. Now, there's a lot of misinformation about TIFs. I mean, we've heard it all. We've heard some horror stories. And there was actually a horror story that I heard about how, don't do a TIF, the town will have to pay it back. You'll have to pay it back. This is not that kind of TIF. We're not doing that kind of TIF. The town doesn't have to put any money into this TIF if the town elects to go that way. What that person was referring to is, don't do the TIF, the town will have to pay it back, would be like this. If the town decided they wanted to do something with the mill over here, the X mill, and they wanted to develop it, they wanted to put a road in, they wanted to get utilities in, they wanted to put in some kind of water system, and so the town got together and made it a TIF district. And then went before the town and got a bond to buy and to develop that. So maybe they put $200,000 into it. So they go through this development, they get this all ready, and then for economic purposes, nobody buys it. And the TIF district expires. Then the town has to put that, but this is not what we're talking about. So each one of these horror stories about TIFs needs to be researched. The other anti-TIF mentality is there are people who are against the TIF merely because they don't want the wind farm. And so anything that they can throw at it, they will. This clarifies a lot of the information, this win-win written by John. The next one is Wind Energy Development Assessment, which is behind number 3, and this was by the governor's office. And this is a 60-page document. Now, you'll notice you don't have 60 pages of it there. The reason is because there's a lot of things in it that I didn't think were applicable for tonight, but I did put the index in so you can go online and get any other information that you might be interested in that relates. But it's from the governor's office. So there's 5 pages of information, but if you go to what would look like page 22, if you just keep going a few more pages, it explains from the governor's point of view what tangible benefits and community benefits are. The reason that I'm doing this, the reason that I'm taking your time tonight to tell you about it is because 2 years ago when Mike Rogers came up and then the other woman came up, I got to be honest with you, I knew less about TIFs when they left than I did when I came. I didn't get it. This is really good information that spells it out clearly. And I think that's what I needed, that's what everybody needs. So that's page 22. But go to page 23, and it defines what a community benefit agreement is. Now, I've highlighted this for you, page 23. And I want to read this to you. It says, community benefit agreement is defined as an agreement between the developer of an expedited wind energy development and a host community that involves payments by the developer to the host community to be utilized for public purposes, including, but not limited to, property tax reductions, economic development projects, land and natural resource conservation, tourism promotion, or reduction in energy costs. Good reading, good understanding. Then community benefit package is explained in the next one down. If you flip over to page 25, the governor was so kind, his office, to explain what other wind farms have done and what other host communities have done with TIFs and taxes. And again, I've highlighted it so you could just quickly reference it. But the tax liability of Stetson 2 in 2010 was $270,000. They also had $468,000 in grants that were made available from Stetson 1 and 2 tax increment financing, funds for conservation and nature tourism, leveraging $2.86 million in matching grants for projects in Washington County. Now, Stetson 2 also shared 40% of that TIF. The next page, on page 26, says this is about Kibbe Mountain, and this is highlighted projected property taxes more than $400,000 a year, or $10 million over 25 years of the life of the project. Income tax estimates, $13 million over 25 years. And then it has all the community benefits. Those were benefits that the community got together with the developer and negotiated and figured out what the town needed, what the town wanted, and then they came up with an agreement. Page 28. And this one is applicable because it's so close. This one is Bull Hill. Now, the projected property tax payments for Bull Hill were $342,000 annually, totaling almost $7 million over 20 years. And it also has the community benefit package. Now, you know, these may sound like great ideas, and they are great ideas. They take research, they take time to ferret out what's going to be applicable. How can you finance something like Chick Hill? How can you do that? There are ways to do that. I know the pastor of the man who's out at Eastbrook at one of the churches, and he said, I don't know a lot about that wind project, but I can tell you the money just keeps flowing to the town. And that's not a pie in the sky idea, that's the truth. If you have a good business arrangement, a good business that produces a good product, there should be sharing with it. And that's what they've done. And then if you flip to 4, what I've given to you here at tab 4 is an example of what Eaton Peabody did for an unorganized township to make an agreement as to what the TIF was going to be about. So it's an example of a TIF, a tax increment financing, but it's the guidelines for what and how the money can be used in different ways, and it's all right there. So I did bring John with me tonight. If you have any questions or thoughts, you know, I think we can answer them. I think that this is going to have to be an ongoing discussion for a while because, again, this is just informational. There's no proposal here. The figures that we've thrown out are conservative figures, but we'll have to see how things go down the road. Any questions?
Anyone from the public have any questions for Paul? I had a question for John, and this is just a hypothetical. I had always, just so everyone knows, I am in insurance. And I know a lot of people in Clifton, probably Stephanie's homeowner's insurance is very expensive because she's over 5 miles to the fire department. Am I right?
Exactly.
If a TIF was done, and I know you said we as a board in the town would propose it, is a satellite fire department building here with a fire truck that Eddington would still run because we have a contract with Eddington to fight our fires. And if ISO approved that satellite station, more members of the community would be within 5 miles to a fire department, which would make their homeowner's insurance lower. Is that something that can be put in the TIF?
Well, I'll stand up as tradition, and I'll try to do my best to answer your question. A few variables there. Again, just for everyone here, my name is John Pottle. I'm an attorney with Eaton Peabody, and I'm here representing Piston Mountain. In an attempt to answer your question, a lot of other communities that have decided to do a TIP program, one of the projects that they do is indeed fire stations. An interesting thing about the TIP program, we can't do police stations. That's viewed more as a general expenditure, but for whatever reason, fire stations can be okay. What I would suggest for the town is, because there might be a little unique relationship between Edmonton and the town of Clifton, certainly warrants further exploration. But on its face, it sounds like something that's certainly in the realm of possibility. And I won't profess to know how the insurance works. Certainly that's your area and others, but something such as fire station infrastructure is certainly a possibility.
Okay. That was just a question I had. Yes, John?
I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a insurance specialist either. But I did do some research and I sat down with the economic developer of Brewer, which has been involved in writing a lot of agreements for TIFs. And most all of these things that you're gonna think up, it's gonna depend on the agreement. Because the way I understand it is if you put a community benefit agreement together, that's totally different than what Paul was saying about paying back and stuff like that, because a lot of the other parts of the TIF is directly towards business, not homeowners.
Right.
So you're gonna have to be creative in the way that it's worded in the agreement to
Right.
get certain things done that will in fact actually benefit the homeowners, not just businesses.
In this specific situation, though, the way it's been done, just a satellite fire department building, as long as it serviced the TIF district, which would be Pisgah Mountain, it qualifies. It also means that that building can service other areas as well, because they're not stupid. They know that one fire truck or a building is going to be good for anything that happens around it. But as like John said, if it's worded that it is there for a specific reason, in case a fire was needed or a fire department was needed, then it would qualify. So that's in the book as well.
Good.
Any questions? Yes, Paul?
When the lady from the Department of Economic and Community Development, I believe she was from, who explained it to us before, if a fire station was what you were wanting, wouldn't it have to be in a district that was set aside for this project? It had to be located in a TIF district.
A TIF district just doesn't mean one isolated piece of land. A TIF district, you could have Pisgah Mountain, but you could also have something right down on Route 180. That would also be the same TIF district, but that could be where it was located to service the TIF district as well.
You need to lay that out in the agreement.
Maybe just to elaborate further, the geographic boundaries of a TIF district, they don't have to be necessarily continuous. If you kind of viewed, here's Island A and Island B, they're not connected, but they still could be part of the same TIF district.
Any other questions? All right, well, like Paul said, the book is at the office, if anyone would like any copies.